Hi, this is Greg. Look for my book, The Agile Brand, on Amazon or on my website at theagile.world. Welcome to the second episode of The Agile World. In the last episode, I talked a little bit about branding as vocabulary and how it's really our job as branders and marketers to teach people the words and phrases and meanings that we want people to use when not only they think about our brand, but when they talk about it with others, when they share things on social media, when they're recommending us to their friends. Today, I'm going to talk about how a brand is more than a logo. I come from a design background, so part of the graphic design aspect of branding certainly is something that's fascinating to me. I've certainly designed a lot of logos over the years. It's something that when a company rebrands, it's one of the first things that I look at is the graphic component of it. But we know that that's really just one component. And a great logo can certainly be memorable. It can win you awards. It can adorn T-shirts and buildings and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, a logo is meant to represent something much larger. And even mediocre graphic logos can represent something much, much bigger and much more meaningful to people. Simple logos can do the same. There's everything from Sony's wordmark to Apple's very simple Apple, which really, who would have thought that Apple, a logo of an apple would really come to represent such a wide-spanning company that does so many things in the digital world. There's a quote by Seth Godin that I used in my book, The Agile Brand, that says, "A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another." Notice he doesn't say it's a set of fonts and colors and logo forms and lockups and things like that. And again, this is not to disparage the design component of a brand, but it's meant to say that there is so much that goes into a great brand. Again, a brand can have a representation of a piece of fruit and still mean so much in so many people's lives that has absolutely nothing to do with food. This also comes into play as really the evolution of brands over time. And I go into this in my book quite a bit of really how brands have evolved from really an object, a representation of something where when there wasn't really a lot of choice in a store or in general, when there wasn't really a lot of choice between products and services, it was enough to really differentiate yourself with some kind of graphic mark, name, logo, things like that. But as times have become increasingly complex, as there's more competition, as there's more ability to differentiate and niche markets, all of those types of things, a brand has to become more complex as well. And so in addition to names and logos, it needs to incorporate ideas. It also needs to incorporate the experience that you have with that brand. In a few episodes, I'm going to talk a lot more about this evolution of brands and not only what has changed, but why it's changed and what this has done to the relationship between brands and consumers. But for this episode, I thought it was important that we really just highlight how important it is to think holistically about your brand. It's while a graphic component of it can be important and is important, there's so much more that goes into that. And you really, the successful brands that you know of, that you remember, while you remember a logo, there's so much more to them. When the experience is great, when the message really resonates, when they really solve a problem or a challenge in your life, that brand really resonates with you. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please rate the show on iTunes or contact me through my website at theagile.world. You can find my books, The Agile Brand and The Agile Web, on Amazon and on my website at theagile.world.